and his anatomy. Okay. Learning objective: after studying this chapter, the student should be able to define the anatomy, learn its basically competencies and that we have to learn. We need to define anatomy, learn its subdivision, define the anatomy, to learn and learn its subdivisions, discuss why understanding of the human anatomy is essential, and present historical perspective, achievements of the Hippocrates, Herophilus and the Aristotle and the Leonardo da Vinci and the Berzelius. Anatomy is the science which deals with the structure of the body from the macroscopic to the microscopic level. Human anatomy has for long been studied through the dissection of the cadavers, which served as the basis for the understanding the structure and the function ऑफ द ह्यूमन बॉडी. बेसिकली हमें जब ह्यूमन बॉडी के फंक्शंस को समझना है, ठीक है, तो हमें कैडवर्स पे पढ़ना पड़ता है, ठीक है. द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द स्ट्रक्चरल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ द ह्यूमन बॉडी एसेंशियल होती है सो दैट द डॉक्टर नो द स्ट्रक्चर इज विच स्ट्रक्चर इज अफेक्टेड इन द डिजीज, विच स्ट्रक्चर इज बीइंग एग्जामिन्ड बाय हिम एंड विच स्ट्रक्चर इज बीइंग कट बाय हिम ड्यूरिंग द ऑपरेशन. तो डॉक्टर को पूरी इंफॉर्मेशन होनी चाहिए इन सब चीज़ों की. द टर्म एनाटॉमी इज डेराइव्ड फ्रॉम द ग्रीक वर्ड एनाटॉम. एनाटॉम का मतलब होता है बेसिकली टू कट अप. द टर्म डाइसेक्शन इन द लैटिन इक्विवेलेंट एंड द टर्म एनाटॉम in the past word anatomies was commonly used to for the word dissect. The human anatomy was descriptive, the science primarily concerned with the varying identity and the naming of the body structures, but today the importance of the anatomy lies in the functional approach and the clinical approach. जो बेसिकली हमारा फंक्शनल और क्लिनिकल एप्लीकेशन है वहाँ पे हमारा एनाटॉमी की इम्पोर्टेंस है. देयरफॉर द प्रेजेंटली ह्यूमन एनाटॉमी इज प्रैक्टिकली अप्लाइड साइंस इन द फॉर्म फाउंडेशन ऑफ द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ द मेडिसिन. सब डिवीजन ऑफ द एनाटॉमी अगर हम देखें, एनाटॉमी वॉज स्टडी मेनली बाय द डाइसेक्शन, बट नाउ डेज इट इज स्टडीड बाय द पॉसिबल वेज इन द टेक्निक्स लाइक द इमेजिनिंग, माइक्रोस्कोपी एक्सेट्रा. Different approaches have been adopted to the study anatomy. Based on this, anatomy is divided into the gross or the topographical anatomy, microscopic, histological anatomy, surface anatomy, comparative physical anthropology, living anatomy, clinical anatomy, radiological anatomy, developmental anatomy, embryology, genetics, experimental anatomy. ओके इस तरह से एनाटॉमी होती है. ग्रॉस ऑफ द टोपोग्राफिक एनाटॉमी स्टडीड ऑन द कैडवर्स बाय द डाइसेक्शन, ऑब्जर्वेशन ऑफ द स्ट्रक्चर बाय द नेकेड आइज. इन द ग्रॉस स्ट्रक्चर द ईदर स्टडीड रीजनल एनाटॉमी और द सिस्टमिक एनाटॉमी. हमारे पास रीजनल एनाटॉमी होती है जो कि अप्रोच करती है इन विच all the structures or particular region of the body are studied at the same time. The body is dissected region wise, since the regional anatomy deals with the several systems located in the particular region of the body. This approach of studying the anatomy is most useful to clinicians and particular surgeons who need to concentrate mostly on the limited region during the surgery. Therefore, regional approach is most preferred method of the anatomy all over the world. Conventionally, the body is divided into the 6 regions: the head and neck, the brain, the thorax, the abdomen, the upper limb, and the lower limb. So we have the systemic anatomy. Systemic anatomy basically in which all the structure forming the particular system are studied together at the same time. The system consists of the related organ which have the common function. The systemic anatomy provides a comprehensive knowledge of the particular system through the body. Hence it is most useful for the physician. वो physicians के लिए बहुत useful होती हैं. In the Indian subcontinent, the gross anatomy is generally taught by the regional approach. Therefore, the brief overview of all the system dealt in this book. The various systems of the body are as follows. We have the integumentary system. Integumentary system में हम skin की और appendages की basically study करते हैं. ठीक है. Skeletal study of the bone रहता है हमारे पास. Skeletal study of the bone. Articular system, anthropology बोलो, syndesmology बोलो, study of the joints होता है तुम्हारा. Articular system, arthrology या syndesmology. Muscular system हो गया, study of the muscle. Nervous system हो गया, neural system. Cardiovascular system deals with the heart and associated blood vessel. Lymphatic system is lymphoid tissue and the lymph. Endocrine, basically study of the ductless glands. Digestive system, study of the structure concerned with the digestion. Respiratory system, study of the structure concerned with the respiration. Reproductive system, study of the structure concerned with the reproduction. Urinary system consists of the study of the structure concerned with the formation and the disposal of the urine. The term locomotor system includes the osteology and the anthrology and myology. Splanchology deals with the study of the visceral organ of the respiratory, digestive and the urinary, reproductive and the endocrine system. Microscopic anatomy, that is the histology, study of the body structure with the help of the microscope, light electron microscope. Microscopic anatomy provides structural detail of the tissue and the cell which otherwise are not visible to the naked eyes. Surface anatomy, study of the relationship of the deeper structures with the skin. Some of these structures can be seen, whereas these can be palpated on the body surface. These structures are sometimes used as surface anatomical landmark for surface making of the much deeper structure with the help of the skin pencil. The main aim of the surface anatomy is visualization in the mind eye of the structure lie beneath the skin. It can be learned on the cadavers as well as the living subjects. The surface anatomy provides the basis for the physical examination and the knowledge of the paramount importance for the surgical operations. So we have this as brain, this is head, this is neck, and then thorax, then abdomen, upper limb and the lower limb. इन्हीं 4 पार्ट्स में बेसिकली हमें एनाटॉमी डिवाइडेड होगी 4-6 पार्ट्स में जिसे हम पढ़ने वाले हैं. एंड द नॉलेज इज ऑफ पैरामाउंट इम्पोर्टेंस फॉर द सर्जिकल ऑपरेशन. कंपैरेटिव एनाटॉमी इज द स्टडी ऑफ द चेंजेस इन द फॉर्म स्ट्रक्चर. Study of the changes in the form, structure and the function of the different parts of the body that have taken place in the animal kingdom during the course of the evolution. ठीक है, जो बेसिकली एनिमल किंगडम में कोर्स ऑफ द एवोल्यूशन के टाइम पे जो भी चेंजेस है उसके थ्रू अगर हम स्टडी करते हैं, दिस इज अ कंपैरेटिव एनाटॉमी. Physical anthropology, the physical characteristic of the human beings and their ancestor of the variability of their characteristic among within the different racial group. Knowledge of the physical anthropology helps to solve the medico-legal problems of the identification of the individual. Living anatomy, the study of the structure of the body of the living human beings is inspection, palpation, persecution, auscultation with the help of various medical procedures like the bronchoscopy, gastroscopy and cystoscopy and imaging techniques. This is called as living anatomy. Use of the anatomical knowledge for the diagnosis and the treatment of the various diseases. It also provides the anatomical basis for the various diseases. Visualization of the structures and their relation with the neighboring structure inside the body is taking radiographs using the X-ray. Recently new imaging technique called as computerized axial tomography, CT scan, the magnetic resonance imaging, that is MRI, ultrasound are frequently being used to study the deeper structure with the great accuracy and the little no harm effect. The developmental anatomy or the embryology, the study of the intrauterine development of the individual, which begins with the fertilization and ends with the birth, which much can be learned about the structure and the function of the adult by studying the change in the that occur during the development. Genetics, study of the principle of the heredity and the variation. Heredity is the study of the similar trait passed from the parent to the offspring, hence resembles the family member. Variation is the study of the trait influenced by the internal or the external forces, so that no individual is exact replica of the other. So this is the integumentary structure जो कि स्किन वगैरह इंक्लूड करेगा. This is the skeletal or the articular surface skeleton. This is the muscular system. Then this we have as a nervous system. This is the cardiovascular system, and this is the lymphatic system. This is our endocrine system. This is digestive system. This is the respiratory system. This is the GIT, gut, and this is the respiratory system, lungs वगैरह. We have male as a reproductive organ. We have the penis. We have a female accessory organ and the vagina. This is urinary system, both present in male and the female. Then we have experimental anatomy, study of the factor that influences that determine the form and the structure and the function of the different part of the body by conducting the various experiments, such as demonstration of the sites of the valves in the veins by applying the tourniquet and determining the direction of the flow of the vessel. History of the anatomy. The past is not dead history, it is living material out of which man builds for the future. The past is not dead history, it is the living material out of which the man builds for the future. The history of the human anatomy parallels that of the medicine. It has rich, long, exciting, frequent, troubled heritage. People who made a significant contribution to the science of the human anatomy are listed. Brief account of some of the main contributor corresponding to the different historical time is as follows. Hippocrates was the famous Greek physician who is regarded as the father of the medicine. Hippocrates basically father of medicine होते हैं. Hippocrates, father of medicine. Menis is who wrote the first anatomical manual. Ruta recorded the weight of the tongue and the length of the intestine. Hippocratic oath, called as father of medicine. The Aristotle, comparative anatomist, first recorded illustration of the anatomy, who wrote ever account of the embryology. Aristotle ने account of the embryology लिखी थी. Hero filed remarkable work on the nervous system, recognized brain as the center of the nervous system and site of the intelligence. Galen, most frequently writer of all the time and medical subjects, includes the anatomy. Leonardo da Vinci drew outstanding anatomical sketches, made wax cast of the vertical of the vein. The Vesalius refuted misconception of the Galen, authored De Humani Corporis Fabrica, called father of the anatomy. Harvey demonstrated the motion of the blood in the heart and the vessels. Leeuwenhoek refined the microscope, described the cells in the tissue. Malpighi, regarded as the father of the histology. Robert Hooke coined the term cell. Formulation of the cell theory, Sheldon and Shawn. Robert Hooke 1665 coined the term cell. 1883-1889 formulated the cell theory. Job Hunter 1828 established the Hunterian Museum in the London, discovered the London's Hunter's Canal. Mendel, regarded as the father of the genetics. Röntgen discovered the X-ray. Henry Gray authored the most accepted book on the anatomy, named as Gray's Anatomy. Watson and the Crick discovered the structure of the DNA. Medical practice that he established, his name in memorialized in the Hippocratic Oath, but he graduating student takes before entering to the medical practices. Hippocrates had limited exposure to the human dissection, but he was well disciplined in proclaiming his popular theory of the body organization called as human theory. According to this theory, the body of the humor for elements of the body, जहाँ